the YouTube link so that we can share it. I don't see the live going up. What could be happening? Okay, there it is. So sharing in Telegram, and we can start. All right, and we're all here. Yeah, let's go back to the usual order. Martin, do you want to start? Ah, you were on vacation actually, right?
Yeah, I don't have much, to be honest, just catching up.
Was vacation nice at least?
Yeah, it was very good. But I'm refreshed. I'm ready to grind again.
That's awesome. Glad to know. Paul, do you want to go next?
Sure. So yeah, glad to see Thomas and Martin back. Sad to not have like the whole team in the office today. But soon enough. Um, okay, super cool. I've been working mostly on finalizing the test runner. The test runner should be ready pretty soon. We've been discussing a little bit with Martin just how to build the code in terms of architecture because there's some small caveats in the sense that we're trying to test internal functions that need to be called a certain way, but when you run them in the test, we're having some mock data, so we're supposed to run the functions with some mock data, but obviously it's not mocked in the normal function. So we need to find a way to not have to modify the real function, but to call it in a kind of different way when we're running the test. And so we find a potential way through the patch um, library that lets us like modify some functions, but only in the tests while the tests are running. So I'm making some research on that right now. I've made the test, all the tests pass. So I'm happy for that. And then I implemented also the internal function, and I implemented the new payload v2 um, on the API. I almost finished the Open API specs, uh, and uh, and I think I had one more thing, but mostly these three things. And I'll try to make PRs today. So hoping to have um, 2 or 3 PRs ready by today or tomorrow, and after try to continue going forward on that.
Perfect. Yeah, that sounds great. I think that going with patch is okay for now. I think that at some point it will be preferable to have. I don't know if this is feasible, so don't take my word on this. But it would be better if we could have an actual execution node that is configured in such a way that can accept that transaction as a valid one for the payload checks. If that is completely infeasible, then patch is definitely the way to go. Um, but as a general rule, I think that the greatest way possible to be able to test something is to be as integrative as possible. So if at some point we can have a working node that we can communicate with and actually use the Tesla API to communicate with a running execution node and tell it, hey, can you actually validate this for me and have that be a real validator that would not a validator in the Ethereum sense, right? But a valid test that would be great. I don't know if this
Yeah,
is feasible.
and in
Yeah.
this case, we are talking about the spec tests, which are unit tests, and the spec test itself says this is the response from the execution client. So
All
yeah,
right. Awesome. Yeah. If that's the case, then don't worry about it. That's perfect.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. So that's about it right now. Yeah. There's the patch thing. I'll try to implement it and see how it is, and then I'll ask for your reviews and see how we can move forward from that. So yeah, I think it's about it, and I think I've seen a few PRs from Thomas building on top of the checkpoint sync. So also going forward on that, like Thomas has been also going forward on that. So I'm curious also on that.
Perfect. All right, Tomas, do you want to go next?
Yeah. Well, last Friday I um, added the logic in the database to find missing slot ranges uh, and to use that and the logic to use that to request from peers the blocks corresponding to those slots. The PR is already in review. It has some caveats, but uh, it's working. And well, for today, I wasn't gonna work on much. I'm still feeling a bit sleepy from the jet lag and the whole travel. But the next thing I was gonna work on was improving the requests to allow us to handle slots without blocks and uh, requesting blocks in batches, because right now we only request a single one because of um, the shortcomings of the snapping if basically.
Right. So we have a snappy limitation there, right?
Yeah, well, it's quite the implementation we have right now is a bit crude because we like need to have the whole stream in memory to decompress it, and yeah, basically it's not really streaming decompression what we do right now.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, we do have an issue for that one, right? Or don't we? Just to know if that's tracked somewhere.
We have two issues. Martin found out that I duplicated it for changing the snapping if from to an Elixir library, but I believe I didn't open an issue for the like the specific thing I need for the batch requesting from peers.
Okay, sure. Yeah, we can have two of them and then have one blocked by the other. That I don't want to go too much into details of how we should put issues. That's perfect for me. I just wanted to know if we had one tracked for the general snappy thing from moving from NIF to a native Elixir implementation. Awesome. Do we have anything else? And yeah, feel free to just like not do 100% today if you're jet lagged. That's perfectly understandable. We're still human after all.
Well, I was thinking of tackling the moving the snappy from the NIF to the Elixir implementation right now, since I already had noted when I was first implementing the NIF that the actual implementation is quite simple. If you take as a precondition that you already have some way to block, compress, and decompress Snappy format, and we already have that with Snappier. Uh, and there are already, I think, one or two more libs in Elixir that do block decompression but not streaming. So yeah, that's it.
All right, perfect. Yeah, so next is me. I think that I've been mostly working in the boot camp, trying to make sure that we get the interviews organized and everything. But one of the technical things I'll be working on is trying to set up the local network, trying to get up a couple of nodes and see if we can make them interact together, mostly for testing purposes. So yeah, that's probably what I'll be working on. Uh, Mostly because it's something that I think that doesn't take too much time, so that I will still be able to focus on the bootcamp organization for the first couple of days. And aside from that, yeah, also I was almost forgetting. Last Friday, I've been also reading the protobuf, no, the proto array implementation in Lighthouse. Proto array is a data structure that they use in order to hold all of the information needed for fork choice, mostly the fork choice tree, which is the weights for each of the blocks. So yeah, I was just doing some research on that to have some initial ideas on how we can implement that on our side in Elixir, which is something that we should have figured out before next milestone, which is attestations. So yeah, that's basically it. So today I will be using some of my time planning the bootcamp. I will be using some of my time with the local test, the local test net, and if I have any extra time, I will spend it on planning the next milestone, so that we have. And I will probably start with creating new issues for it. If anyone else is also interested in that, anyone is free to create issues here. But yeah, just trying to make sure that we have everything for when we have new members in the bootcamp and we have issues for everyone. Yeah, that's it. Do we have any final questions or comments? Perfect. I'll take that as a no. So yeah, we can finish the day for today, and thank you for joining, and see you tomorrow.